Hey everyone, Maury Curtis Dunbar here with Painted Studio. It is the Saturday before Easter. We've got just a couple easy fun projects we're working on and I thought I'd share them with you. So the first thing I'm going to do is check to see that I am live. Yes, I am. I figured out what happened yesterday somehow, some way. Gotta turn the volume down. Somehow, some way, I managed to be going live on my personal page instead of on my business page. I have no idea how I did it. I just did. And that was not my intention, so it took a little time to get everything organized. Okay, I am just adjusting my screen so I can see everything and see what's going on. And then we're going to get to work on a couple projects. Now, I've done a little work on the geisha door. I don't think you can see it behind me, but it's back here drying. Yeah, you can actually see it a little bit over here. And I'm just starting to block in some colors, but I'm sort of at the stage right now that I can't do it on a live because if I do it and talk at the same time, I'll make a big mess out of it. So I'm going to block in some stuff next week. We're going to come in, we'll do some more stuff while we're doing a live. But today we're going to work on this little chair shelf that I picked up at Target for $5. We've got one little basket left to do because I made all of them except one kind of feminine, and I have 2 men at home that I need to fill these baskets for Easter with. So we're going to flip the camera down. I'm going to move everything to the side. We're going to flip the camera down. I'm going to make sure I can see. Here we go. I'm going to watch the camera. Give me just a moment. Let me check. Hey, Sherry McDonald, nice to see you here. Okay, we are good to go. And what we are working on, first we're going to start with this guy. Now, I'm going to tip it forward like this so I can do the back. Now, you might remember I actually painted it a different color to begin with. And I believe that we've got, I hope I pronounce your name right, Hi McGuire. I'm going off of the pronunciation of something like highlight, so I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it correctly. If I'm not, please tell me and I will apologize and pronounce it correctly from now on. Let me get just the camera. I don't like where that angle is. Just a little better. There we go. Now I can have it a little closer to me and I can actually see what I'm doing. So I had this painted in set coat metallic teal, and then I realized I didn't want that. I wanted metallic navy under there because about 2 years ago I did a table outside that I loved. I painted it metallic navy. I'd used our blue-green tie-dye foil on it. Unfortunately, the table itself wasn't meant to be outside, so while the foil held up beautifully, the table kind of fell apart. So we're going to start working with this. We're going to put our blue-green tie-dye foil over it, have some fun. All right, so first we're going to lay this on the back. The only thing I haven't put foil adhesive on, the only part, is the bottom because I needed to be able to set it down so I could, let it dry. All right, we're going to take our little scrub brush. These are made by Scotch-Brite. They're nail brushes, but they look like little scrubber brushes, and that's the center of these are a little stiffer. They're a little shorter than a regular nail brush, so they're a little more aggressive to use on here, which is sometimes what you need. For those of you who have not watched me foil before, we'll go over the foiling process as soon as I peel this one spot off. But this is going to tell me how good my release is today. Some days it's not cold in here, we're nice and warm. If it's cold, or if the foil's cold, or if the foil adhesive is cold, you don't get a good release. Today should be a good one because we're in nice, oh yeah. Oh, good. I do have a few spots that I need to touch up. Right in there. Let's get all these in. But now you can see why the navy is so good with this, because the navy actually works with this foil pattern really, really well, and it's very hard to tell where there might be a missed spot. So If you've never seen me foil before, this might look like magic. I'll flip it over. We'll talk about the whole process, and I will demystify it. For those of you who are regulars here, you know how the foiling stuff works, but it is always so much fun to watch. And I often go back over my foil with a second pass, but if you notice, I'm not using a scrub brush, I'm using my fingers, and there's a reason, because if you scrub aggressively over your second coat of foil, and I'm going to do it on the back because it won't show, you can actually scratch the foil that you laid down. You see how I got a little dull spot right there? Now, I can often cure some of that dull spot issue with a top coat, but it doesn't always solve it. Sometimes it looks dull under a glossy top coat. Now, on the back, this is going to be hung in my yard against a tree. So if I double up my foil here and scuff it a little bit, get a little scratch mark on it, I'm not going to care. But it is releasing really, really, really beautifully on here. I'm really not even seeing scratches. It's just got a little dull in a couple spots. Wow, this is why I love this foil. I really do love this particular foil. It's very forgiving, very easy to work with. Solids, the scuffing shows much more on. Patterns like the tie-dye, it's really easy peasy. Oh, I don't know why this got zoomed in so small. I must have bumped it with my hand. I'm sorry, everybody. All this new technology, I need to push it away from me so I can't hit it. I'm making myself sound 100 years old, but you know how I am. I get a new piece of equipment and I struggle with it. All right, let's try it this side. And they're in the screen so you can see the whole thing again. And I'll keep my hands away from where it zooms in small. And just so you all know, if you've never been here before, we don't throw away foil that has all this extra stuff on it. When we're done with a piece like this, we put it into a bag and we pack scraps in with people who are ordering foil and foil adhesive, so you have the chance to get try a pattern you might not be ordering. No, you cannot choose which scraps we give you. It's whatever I reach in and grab. It's going to come in kind of a crunch pile. It's not garbage, I promise you. We send this to you so you can enjoy foil scraps. A lot of people here are absolute devotees of getting their foil scraps. Let me see. Oh, hi Cindy, nice to see you, and Maddie and Sherry and whoever I didn't say hi to before. Okay, so where we're at, if you have never done foiling before, you apply a good quality base coat paint to your surface, let it dry the appropriate amount of time. Then you apply our Artsyville foil adhesive. I have a jar of it sitting here somewhere. You apply our Artsyville foil adhesive. It's water-based. You do not thin it. The most you want to thin it is 2 to 5% if it's gotten a little thick in the jar. If you thin it too much, you start losing the adhesive properties to it. This is why we tell you not to thin the foil adhesive. Then it must dry for a minimum of an hour. Okay, it needs an hour to come up to that tack level where you're going to get a great release without it being too wet underneath, so that when you pull the foil back, you can pull the paint off too. We've had this sitting for, I did this about 2 hours ago, so we're good to go. It is the right tack. Now, the other thing to know, Artsyville foil adhesive is not self-leveling, so when you apply it, there will be brush strokes. And for somebody like me, I plan my brush strokes so that they work with the piece. So you can see brush strokes went like this, and brush strokes went like this, and then they widen here so that it fits the piece. Make sure you really want to work it with a nice brush to get it on. Don't use a sponge brush. Personally, I find that this is too thick for a sponge brush, and you end up disintegrating the sponge brush, dragging it across a surface, trying to get it in or get it on. But don't use, I wouldn't use a chip brush either. I use a good quality artist brush. either white nylon like this. Don't look at how bad this brush is. This is a beater brush. This side looks a little better. I use a nice quality nylon brush or Tacklon. If it's cold outside, I will use the white nylon. That's because those bristles are stiffer to lay it down. If everything's nice and warm, it's a warm day, I can use the Tacklon, which is a more delicate brush. It's a more flexible bristle. Sorry, I was losing my words. All right, got to get this cut. Okay, so then you take the foil. Foil has two sides. It has the pretty side and the not pretty side. It always goes on, not pretty side down. Why? Because the pattern is mounted on the back of this film, and so you want to stick it to the adhesive, rub it to release it, and then peel it back. Now, I will tell you truthfully, do not scrub in circles if you can avoid it. I will do it on a round shape, but I won't do it on much else, because you can scrub that pattern into your surface. So you've already got brush strokes on here from the way you've applied the foil adhesive. Go with your brush strokes. It helps work the foil into the texture that you've created with your brush. And then you can scrub the other direction too. Vertical and horizontal are the way to go to get the best release possible. Do not go in circles on 99% of your projects. I will only do it. You saw me doing the egg last week. I did some circular scrubbing on there because I had an egg shape. So it worked to my benefit to do a little circular scrubbing. All right. And sometimes you get these little air pockets right here where you've pressed it down and it seems like there's a bubble. That actually means that the foil has released really, really nicely in that spot, and you're getting clear backing film coming back up. So I like to take advantage of those little pockets whenever they appear if I can, because it makes my release really nice. So I just kind of work it. All right, let's see how, oh yeah. Look how beautiful that is. And I do just love this over the metallic navy. I think this is such a great combination. I missed my little table from my yard so much, now I'm doing a shelf in it. All right, let me see if I've missed any spots. Actually, the front of this came out better than the back, probably because I wasn't paying as much attention when I put the adhesive on the back, knowing me. I probably got distracted. Probably one of those, oh look, bright shiny object moments. All right, we've done that. Now we're going to do the seat. Let me see if I've got any. Hey, Kathy Brown. Oh, Sherry, yes it is. Isn't it fun to get scraps? We do that really intentionally. It's if you don't get scraps, you don't get the opportunity to try something that you might not normally order. So, all right, we're going to try this, and we're going to have to sort of piece this in. Now, let me get the back here first. Okay. And peel it back. Now, the reason I'm using my fingernails here is this is cross-cut, which means that there's a little bit, if you look at right here on the top, let's see if you can see that in the camera, if the camera's allowing it to show. I think I have foil stuck to my face. This cross-cut here is textured, so it takes a little more than just scrubbing to get it in there. So I usually go at it with my fingernail because it's a really coarsely textured kind of spot. And, you know, sometimes the brushes and stuff just don't get in there as well as my fingernail does. And I think what I'm going to do before I do the seat, we'll do all the edges and then I'll cut a fresh piece for the seat. Now, I know this is right up under the camera. I apologize if anybody feels like it's going to make them dizzy to watch it this close. I'm sorry, but I got to stick this upright for me for the top of this for just a moment. Yeah, that just leaves such a nice release up here. Okay. I keep trying to find a way to get my nails as a write-off on my taxes because I use them more than any other tool in the studio, honestly. They are really, really useful to me. All right, let me get these side edges on here. Let me see, in the camera. Oh, good, I'm glad you like that because it's a little awkward. I'm actually underneath it. When it sits up that high and I'm sitting here, it's a little hard for me to see it, but I'm glad it works for you guys because I'm never sure. All right, let's get this in here. Let's see. Yeah, this is just not going to be aggressive enough. We're doing my fingers and my fingernails. The release on this is so pretty. That textured surface, I'm telling you, it's a bear. And I can see a little bit of the blue peeking through, but it works so well with the foil, that's why I use it. Okay, let's try, now that I've got this sideways like this, let's try here. Now, as you can see, the foil I have right here, there's a spot here that's already been released. So what I'm going to do is release close to, but not exactly up to that little line. I don't want to create a seam. So I create what's going to end up being like a little blurred edge there. And then I'm going to come back over and kind of overlap it. And that way you don't get a seam. Now again, this stuff is made out of particle board. It's not even real wood, so I don't even get a nice side edge here to work with. Now this is MDF press board that they make stuff out of. That's why it's so inexpensive at Target. It's like I said, it was in the $5 aisle. So sometimes that means you get strange materials to work with. All right, let's keep going here on this. This. Good, very good. And I'll just go back in and get to the spots that I don't think released super well. And I check it with my fingers because there is blue, dark blue in this foil itself. So sometimes I can even be fooled into thinking what was not a release spot is actually released just fine. It just looks like it wasn't. My little brush. One of our customers here, Sherry, sent me a dentist brush, denture brush. I have no idea where it is at this very moment because I've been cleaning and I moved everything around. Truly, that's what happens with me. I clean something so well that I cannot find it again for a while, and then it'll make an appearance. I know you all have done the same thing. I tend to put things away really carefully and then forget where they are too. Really nice. Nice, nice, nice. Oh. There we go. And then we have the side over here to do. And I do have all of this detail in here to do as well. So let's keep going. We're going to get this whole thing released, and then we're going to seal it up with an appropriate outdoor sealant. Things are sliding around on me. I forgot to put foil adhesive there. Okay, we're going to seal everything except that one spot so I can put foil adhesive on it. And that happens to me a lot. I know you all have it happen too. I was being so careful to get all the inside stuff, I forgot one outside spot. I am just a genius. I am so proud of myself. Meanwhile, we'll get everything else done. Get into the camera a little bit more so you can see what's going on. Hopefully I didn't forget any other spot. I don't think I did. But I'm so bad sometimes. I think I got everything all set up, and then there's one big missing spot. All right. Now we'll turn it this way and go in here and get all the spots I can see from in here, and then we'll keep rotating it until I get all the spots that I think need to be done. And yes, I know I still have more to do up here on the top. Okay. Let's get in here. Alright, let's turn her this way. Oops, I missed one spot that I meant to do on this side, and if I don't do it right now, it will not get done. Let's see if I angle that just a little bit so it's a little better angle, not dead straight down. Okay, now flipping it this way. Let's do it in here. And then I like to take peeks and see where I've still got a lot of unused foil. Nice, nice. Oh, the release on this foil is so good. Some foils can be a little temperamental, but this blue-green tie-dye, I'm going to tell you, always a great release. Never had it fail me. So good. So happy. Let me take a look and see if I've got any questions. Oh, hi, Deborah. Nice to see you here. And Carol, thank you for the compliment on my nails. It was a skill I developed during lockdown. I now do all my own nails. I've discovered that I'd prefer to do them myself because then when I crap them, you know, if I crap them up, I don't feel guilty because then I hadn't spent a lot of money having somebody else do my nails. It's just me, and then I'll go back and, all right, I got to do them again. And I know somebody asked me this before, so I'll share it again. They asked me where I get all my nail equipment. I get all the lights and the brushes and stuff off of Amazon. And I get all the acrylic powders and the polishes off of a site called Beyond Polish. Really great products there, all professional quality. So I'm really happy with the things that I get to do with my nails. And no, I've never done anybody else's, only my own. Quite frankly, I'm afraid if I did somebody else's, I'd probably grind their fingertips off. But my own, I know what what everything feels like, and so I don't do anybody else's but mine. So there's my nail polish tangent of the day. Glad we covered that all. I was worried that I might not talk about my nail polish enough. Okay, we're going to take one last piece of foil, do the base. Okay, I'm sorry I just turned it towards me for a second so I could see it to lay it down. So we're going to put this on here. We're going to give it a rub. Also, another thing to do, if you are wearing jewelry, don't let your jewelry scratch. It can actually leave gouge marks in your foils. I know because I've done it, which is why when I rub foils, you see me sticking my fingers up kind of awkwardly. It's to prevent it. And I don't take my rings off unless it's a really big bulky one on my right hand, because I am one of those people that if I take rings off, I misplace them, and I wouldn't be very popular if I lost my engagement in my wedding ring. So I've learned to adapt. When I worked on job sites, it was different. I used to take them off in the morning, put them in a ring holder by my bed, and then come home, take a shower, and put them on at night. But now that I'm in the studio all the time, I don't do that, and I really, really don't want to lose them. Wow, that came out so pretty. I'm so happy. I always come back with a little extra foil just in case it grabs on some of the broken spots. And as you notice, I didn't even use a scrub brush on this one. This one grabbed so nice and smoothly that I just used my hands. So if you've got a nice smooth surface where the foil adhesive is just laid out really well, you can do that. Doesn't work for every surface, but it works for some of them. So look how cute my little shelf is. I love this. I love this, I love this, I love this. And go and catch a spot here. So the one thing I am going to do, I'm going to grab a little brush while I'm sitting here. We're going to put the Artsyville foil adhesive on my mist spot. I'm going to set this aside. We're going to work on the other project. I may force the drying of this a little bit, see if it'll grab, if it'll be not sticky, so sticky that I might be able to release foil on it a lot sooner than the hour that you're supposed to be able to do. Sometimes if I apply it super, super thin, I can get it to work a little faster. No guarantees though. I will know when I touch it after I finish what we're doing next. And what the heck, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We know that. I've got a little cup with water over on the side so I don't end up ruining all my brushes, because I can forget to take them to the sink, and I have done that more than once. And yes, once this stuff hardens on your brushes, it does not come out. You can try Crud Cutter, you can try Goof Off, you can try everything, and it doesn't necessarily work well. So I'm going to set this over to the side somewhere that'll let me set it down without falling over. That is not an easy task in my on my table right now. And we're going to work on this basket. Now, you saw me do the other ones. I stained this one a combination of brandy and American walnut Saman water-based stain because the brandy was too orange and the mahogany was too red, and the American walnut was a little too dark dry color. I wanted something a little lighter. And we're going to use Old Silver from, I'm going to use our Old Silver Robersons on here. Liquid metal. Now I could use layering paint, I could use anything I want, but we're going to use the Old Silver from Robersons because I really want to give a little bit of glamour to this while still keeping it masculine. And I'm using a chip brush, and we're going to dry brush cross hatch in all directions on here so the wood peeks through. Now I'm going to start on the end, and let me see if I can pull that camera up a little bit so you can see it. There we go. I just wanted to make sure it grabbed on. I'm going to take a little bit of the Robersons, and I always pour, this is parchment paper, which is the same kind of stuff you use to bake on. I keep sheets of it on my table because things don't stick to it. I've used plastic table covers and paper table covers for years, and there's plastic under here, but the parchment paper allows me to do stuff and not have it permanently stick to the paper. So we're going to take some of the Robersons, and I don't have enough on my brush, so let me do this. And we're using Old Silver, liquid metal, and then we're going to dry brush it in a cross hatch fashion. And the older and more beat up your chip brush is, the better this works. Now, this is not going to look like a whole lot on camera because this is not the best light for this. Let me see if I can get a little more light. That might get a little brighter. And I can always go back and build this up more, but I like to start with a light hand because you can add more easily. You can't take it off. And I know you know this, but I have really heavy-handed a couple times starting off, and I was so mad at myself because I could not get the texture where I wanted it because I went too heavy to start with. And I'm giving it almost a little bit of a linen weave effect on here. So let me take a look and see how I like that. That's looking pretty good. I want a little more here. And a little bit like that. And we've got a nice sort of dry brushed linen-y weave kind of feeling on here. And then we're going to go turn it on its side. Now this will dry as fast as I'm working on it because we're using so little paint. And all these finishes that I do on these little tiny projects, they are absolutely suitable for furniture, and many of them can be used on walls as well. I was on walls for many, many decades. I cannot do that anymore. But I take all those years of techniques for things that I've learned that way and try to share them here. Okay, we need a little more paint out. And we do carry the Roberson, some of the basic colors, the golds and the silvers, we carry them in larger jars, but for those of you who are just interested in checking them out, we have them in the 30 milliliter size, which is the little size I'm working with here. And then we have the 250 milliliter, which is about a little more than 8 ounces. Let's see if I want a little more here. You see, just build it up. And if I come back in a little bit and said, God, I wish I was doing a little more something here or there, again, I go right back at it. Oh, I can hear my neighbors today. That's not usual. We normally can't hear each other, but it's really quiet right now. The streets are very quiet, and it's Easter weekend, so people are preparing for family time tomorrow. I hope you all are having some family time. And if you're not celebrating Easter, I still hope you have family time. Whatever it is you're doing tomorrow, I hope you're enjoying it with other people. We have very quiet plans for tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. You know, it's funny, as you get a little older, unless you have grandkids, which we don't, your holidays can get very quiet, and you are actually grateful for the lack of crazy. We used to do huge family things, and you know, COVID changed all of that, and we just haven't gotten back into doing the big family stuff anymore. We've kind of all enjoyed the downsizing, the toning down of it, making it a little more personal. Maybe we'll get back to doing some bigger parties. Maybe. Possibly. We'll see. And don't forget to hit these edges here, because you want to give it a little bit of zhuzh on the edges. Okay, here's this side. And see, I can already set this down on this side because this is dry. I am not picking up paint. Being a little more deliberate in my placement this time, just because I'm paying attention. I'm not talking so much. Let me see if you all have any questions. Hey, Brandy Butler and Jill, nice to see you here. Thanks for coming by on this Easter weekend. Okay, that's a place that I got the paint a little heavier than I'm going to be happy about, but I have nobody to blame but myself. And you know what? Nobody will notice it but me. And this is just traditional dry brushing techniques. If you get big globs of paint off of your brush isn't that dry. All right, let's get a little more paint in here because I want to then start blending this just a little bit. Okay. I got that a little patchy right there. Oh, that's going to be the spot that goes against the wall or something. Because these, after Easter, these are going to end up out in the garden too. That's what happens. I paint everything for one purpose, and then instead of having it sit in the basement for a year, I use it for something else. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to end up putting it in the garden so that we're going to seal all of this with an appropriate top coat. Got all my pattern in there. Yeah, this is probably the side I like the least. It was the side I was the most deliberate on, and that's why I don't like it so much. I thought about it too much. I annoyed myself with that. So now I can put a little bit here on the handle just to tie it all together. But I'm not going to put a lot. I'm just doing that. All right, so we've used our paint, very little bits of paint. The next thing we're going to do is top coat. So let me set that to the side. Because I know these are going to be intended for outside, I can move my little screen thing back. We're going to use Faux Effects C500 in gloss. You don't have to use gloss, you could use satin, but because I'm working on foil, I want gloss because this is got the metallic on it. I want to embrace the metallic and have it be a little shiny. Now I'm putting it in a container. Always mix your materials, even if it's gloss. These sit on my shelves for a little while, so I haven't used this in a bit. I want to make sure all the components are mixed. This is the material I was looking for the other day and couldn't find. That's because it was in the back of a shelf. Okay, C500 is probably the strongest exterior top coat on the market. Super durable. However, if you're doing delicate work, like you've got really fine, delicate painting, or you've glazed something like that, you want to put what's known as a barrier layer or an isolating layer on there to protect your delicate work, because it's such a strong top coat, it can also dissolve delicate materials. Now, I shouldn't have any issue with that here, but if I do, you'll know exactly what I mean. I haven't top coated the Robersons, which doesn't require top coating outside, but our stain, being a water-based stain with no binders in it, does. Now, the stain is not exterior rated even for color, so this may change color outside, but I don't care. I know that going in. I'm just going to embrace it for what it is. All right, that's brushing on nicely. Now, this is water-based. Little on the stinky side, but very little. A piece of fuzz stuck in there. Come on, get out. Make sure it's off the brush, too. I don't need to take it with me a second time. So I always brush the insides first, because trust me, it's way, way harder to do the inside when the outside's wet. You can't set it on its side like this, like I'm doing, to get out the inside slats and stuff. You need to do the inside first. I already top coated that part, but just brushed it a little bit because I smacked my brush against the edges and I like to clean up things. Now, the other thing you have to watch is, because these slats for something like this are open, if you have a lot of top coat on your brush, it can seep through the slats. So be aware, come back and catch drips if they are there. Now, I know a lot of you struggle with putting on top coat. And here's what happens. A, you're either over brushing it, or B, you're not applying it in an appropriate manner, meaning you're not using something that's good for the size of the piece you work. Now, I can brush a tabletop and have it come out darn near flawless. So what happens is you come in and you brush 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 and brush and brush and brush, and you keep going back over it, and then you're brushing from the wet part of your area into a dry area. What you need to do is, if this area is wet, and I'm going to do it this way on the side because you'll see better what I'm talking about. Okay, so you brushed and you brushed and you brushed and you brushed and you brushed. If it starts to catch on your brush, your product is starting to dry, don't brush it again, even if it doesn't look perfect, because you're going to make it worse. And then what happens is, get that little piece of hair out of there that is from my brush. The next thing that happens after somebody's brushed is, instead of putting on fresh product and brushing into the wet side, you come in and brush and put more product right here on the edge of the wet and brush into the dry area. Why does that make a difference? Because then you're dropping a brush mark in here. You're dropping a brush mark, and then you get that and you have to clean it up. What you want to do is come in from the dry area and swoop your brush up and smooth it out like this. and that makes your brush marks disappear. Again, now I'm working on something that's 8 inches, 10 inches wide, so I can go back and forth and have no issue. I had a little piece of hair in there, and that's what I was trying to get out. I'm going to set this up right, and I'm going to do the other 2 sides because I can't lie them down now. Now, actually, what I can do is do this side. If you're going top to bottom, we'll do the top to bottom lesson. Start at the bottom and brush up, and this is the same with paint. Start with the top, the bottom, brush it up, and then come back down into the wet. And that will get you a nicer finish. You don't get a lot of brush marks that way. You don't get any funny stuff happening. All right, we're gonna get this last end bit here. If you notice, I'm not dabbing at it like this. The only time I dab is when I have a rough spot that I have to clean up. It needs to get in there. I stroke across the entire surface. That gets me a better result. All right. Now I'm going to do the handle, which handles are always challenging. So when it's something like this, I like to work the brush around the area like this, and then come back and smooth it out. And that's done. So we're going to let that dry. I'm going to move my water bottle that I knocked over out of the way. And we're going to bring over the shelf. Now I'm just going to nudge some stuff out of the way so I have a little more room to work on the shelf, because I'm building up a nest of stuff around me and it gets very, very crowded. Okay, I just nudge that against a piece of paper towel, so there. Now we're all set and we're ready to go with this. So once again, I will probably almost always do it this way. I want to go, not quite tacky enough, but we will be soon. I'm going to go here. I'm going with my pattern. I like to try to do the insides of this first because you always seem to get a little dribble doing this. And then when you set it upright, you can use that dribble to brush onto the flat surfaces. As you can see, I am not loading my brush with a lot of product. You do that, you get big, messy sags. I'm going to come back this way. Now, I work quickly with top coat, but that's because I'm comfortable with it. I know a lot of people really struggle with it. They don't know where to start. I start usually on the place that I think is going to be the drippiest when I turn it upright, which is all these little details, like in here, and along in here, and along here, and here. I can brush this side here, but I can do that once I sit it upright. So now I'm going to stick my hand on the other side. I'm going to sit upright, and I'm going to check because I do have some little dribbles right in here. Now, I clearly cannot tip this all the way on its back for you all to see, so I'm going to try to get this under the camera this way. Now, if I had a bigger expanse, I usually do my cross sections first so that when I come to my verticals, I can clean that up and make it look like a nice crisp edge there. I do that with paint as well. So I just want to make sure everything lays out really nicely and I don't have brush marks drying in places that I don't want them. And see, now I come back up this way, I can see some of the dribbles because it always happens. It's always going to have a little sag or something there. Get under there, get under there. I also don't worry when I put my finger in some place like this up in the top coat because I can just come back in. And bigger pieces of furniture, again, that's a different story. You have to be much more careful. And as you can see, I'm brushing it right across. I'm not dabbing at it anywhere. We're getting a nice smooth layer down. I can put a second layer on here if I need to. Let me see if it reminds me. Yeah, I thought that was it. I don't use this often to remember the drying time. So a second coat, it wants you to wait 12 hours so that all the moisture has been released and you're dry enough to handle that. Obviously, right now, I'm not going to worry about a second coat. I do have foil adhesive applied on this side, so I am going to wait a little bit. I'm going to put the foil right along here that I missed earlier. Then I'm going to immediately top coat it. And as soon as it's dry enough for me to put in my car, I'm taking it home. Why? Because it needs to go home. All right, everybody, let me flip the camera up. You can see me a little bit. I hope that's got me in there. Let me check my camera, see what's going on. Or if you're just getting my chin. Yeah, you're just getting my chin. A little hard to tell sometimes. All right, so this is my project for today. We're going to go back and work on our cabinet again on Monday. We're going to block in more colors. I'll move on with that. We've got some new projects coming up soon. I hope you all have a wonderful Easter. Enjoy. I'm just going to check 1 second to see if I missed any questions, but I think everybody's pretty good. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time today. And of course, if you have any questions, if anything I said did not make any sense, post them in the comments below. I'll come and clarify, because there is no such thing as a bad question. It means that I didn't get the information to you correctly. So if you don't understand it, chances are other people don't either. Happens all the time. And let's see, anything else I need to share? No, I think we're good. So everybody have a great Easter. If you don't celebrate Easter, have a great Sunday. One way or the other, I hope your weekend is wonderful, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.